Today's June 21st, 2024. Current Bitcoin price is $64,181.
Welcome to the BitBite podcast, your source for news and information about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. This podcast is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice.
What's going on, Rick?
Oh, not much. Just watching the price of Bitcoin somewhat nosedive.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen these prices since, what is this? Stupid thing's in the way. Hold on. It's like, how long ago was this? Since May 24th. No, May 15th, sorry. May 15th is the last time we saw prices this low.
Yep. So, I mean, if you watch YouTube videos or you at least scroll through them, they're all talking about how the sky is falling. What do you think's going to happen in Hans?
Well, I mean, we had we had a couple bullish weeks not too long ago, basically 2 weeks ago. And I think last time we recorded is when we were kind of beginning the downtrend back down. And honestly, I think at this point right now, I think there's a lot of just economic issues happening. Everybody's still kind of concerned about, I think a lot of people were hoping that we would be starting to get rate cuts. I know that's been like an ongoing narrative that we've been discussing on the podcast is rate cuts. Everybody wants that free money. And it's one of those things. I don't know, like I was expecting, I think in the middle of May is when I was expecting the market to start to turn around, because we should be, according to like old bull cycle type stuff, we should be on that way up at this point.
Right.
But
I agree. And, last month when I expected the price to go down below 60, that kind of that old pattern, it crashes quite a bit before it takes off on the rocket ship, as it were.
Yeah.
And we just never got that. And so we're kind of still in that limbo. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious to see if we do dip below 60 before we take that launch,
And when it's definitely possible, I wouldn't put it outside of the realm of possibility. I think there's still a lot of buying pressure in a lot of ways when we look at some of that, where I don't know if even if we do, I don't know if we'd stay down there long. It's definitely a possibility. And it's one of those things where, we were kind of talking about that before we started recording, where the market's got to have that overall negative sentiment in place before we see it kind of take off again, right? And not only that, but we don't know like what's going to be the catalyst. What are we looking at? Like, what do we need when we look at the bull market from previous bull cycles with Bitcoin? It didn't take a whole lot in the way of news to move that price, right? You had Tesla announcing that they were buying Bitcoin, and the price exploded. And now how many companies have we had announced that they purchased Bitcoin? And the price was like, eh.
Yeah. No, it's a fair bit. But, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell which direction it's going to go. It seems like there is something building up. Whether it's going to go up or down, it's kind of remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be bullish, but, that's like maybe a 75% chance. Maybe it's that 25% that the economy does start fracturing. And there's a lot of bad news going on in the world.
No, and there definitely is. I think one of the things that I still go back to is, and we talked about this a couple episodes ago now, but they're still buying quite a bit. Like, even though we've had some selling pressure over the past few days, even just with the ETFs, there's still a lot of purchasing going on. I think Michael Saylor just actually bought more again, too.
Yeah.
We can't forget that even though, we're seeing this downward action with this, they still are, they still have bought over 28 times, like within a single day, what the daily supply is right now. That's still happening. Like that hasn't stopped.
Right.
So again, I think there's something fishy going on the back end. that we kept on seeing. Like when we got up to that $72,000 mark, and I think we had mentioned that in an episode, where if it crossed that 72, like they were saying, like all bets were off. And what happened? Right when we kissed it, it went down.
Yeah.
It wasn't allowed to cross that. So I don't know. I mean, we could be in for, a long summer where we don't see a lot of action, where maybe it doesn't pick up until, the fall. That is a possibility.
No, it is. I mean, technically it could go down depending on what the world economy does going forward.
Yeah. Yep.
So
speaking of, though, what are we looking at with our theoretical purchases?
Okay, theoretical purchases. We did $3,000 in October, and below. I mean, it was right around 30,000 roughly, and you got 0.085 Bitcoin, and right now it's sitting pretty all right. I mean, 5680. It's not bad. I mean, you've not quite doubled your money, but you've gained 2,600. Not bad. The other theoretical purchase is right at the halving. So it was basically just barely below 64,000. And with 64,181 as our current price, that 0.01564 Bitcoin is only worth $1,004. So barely positive.
Barely positive. Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's a tough time right now with the Bitcoin space. It's hard to tell. We've been range bound for so long now. Because, I mean, ever since right before... ever since basically the announcement of the ETFs in the United States, it's just been kind of trading sideways.
No, the ETFs gave us that wind in the sails. It's just it ran out of that juice sometime around March 14th.
Yeah.
And so that's over 3 months now that it's been basically downwards and sideways. It's not even crossed that point ever since.
Yeah, I mean, what the high is still, I'm trying to see what our local high was, and that was 73,847.
That's not a local high. That's an all-time high.
Well, no, I know that. I'm aware of that, but I mean, that's the local high for where we're at right now.
Right.
I mean, because right now the highest that we've gotten lately was 71,899, I think is what I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we've kind of been with that. But I mean, we haven't seen anything else. Like we haven't really seen it break below. We've been stuck within that range for so long now.
Yep. No, it's getting a little bit boring.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, that's it. That's pretty much it. It has been kind of boring. And one of the things it's going to take is it's going to take a catalyst of some type, but I don't know what that catalyst is going to be.
I agree.
That's why I was saying, I mean, in the past, you could just have announcements of corporations buying Bitcoin and putting it in the reserves. And we're seeing a lot of that, but that doesn't seem to do anything to the price. We did have a ETF that launched in Australia over this past week, which was interesting. But the weird thing about that ETF launch was that they're not actually doing their own ETF. All they're doing is funneling the money back into the United States ETF. So it's being done through Van Eck, and Van Eck has their own basically ETF that they have there. They call it the BBTC.AX. And all they're doing is siphoning that money and bringing it back to the United States ETF rather than having its own.
I wonder what the commission is on that one.
Yeah, I don't know what rates are on there. I don't have that on there. I guess the money that they funded it with ahead of time was about $990,000. So it wasn't a huge amount. Small.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then we had some other news that was kind of interesting that, we were kind of talking about this before we got going, was the Gemini Twins donated $2 million worth of Bitcoin to Donald Trump.
Each,
right?
Yeah. Or no, 1 million each. Right?
1 million each. Yeah, they were saying that they basically want to end the Biden's war on crypto.
Well, you can't disagree with them.
But the funny thing about it then is that Bloomberg reported that Friday afternoon the Winklevoss twins' Bitcoin donations to Donald Trump's presidential campaign were refunded because they exceeded the maximum amount allowed under federal law.
Yep. They're probably just going to go straight to a super PAC of some type.
Well,
and then it's okay.
I'm curious if they knew that ahead of time when they made the donation.
Maybe they just got all the fanfare for making that, and then they give most of it refunded back to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm starting to think. I'm like, But, yeah. I don't know. You know what, though? You were talking about something. Did you watch the debate you were talking about? The one from Zero Hedge?
Oh, that was a different debate. I was confusing them with the Krasenstein twins.
No, I know, but did you watch that debate?
I watched part of it. It was kind of a cluster.
Or was it? I was going to ask if it was worth watching or not.
Well, the thing is it was basically a debate with Alex Jones, Glenn Greenwald, and I can't remember who else. And then it had the two Krasenstein twins, or brothers, and then Destiny. But I think I prefer to watch debates when they're more one-on-one versus like 3-on-3, because it just gets a little bit more convoluted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The waters get a little bit too muddy.
It's a little too muddy. I saw a different one that was kind of interesting too. It was a debate against Gaza, and it was an interesting team of Dave Smith and what's the guy from the Young Turks?
Yeah, that one kid.
Well, they were on one side, and then it was what's the Jewish guy's name? The
Ben Shapiro?
His name. No, it's an older guy. He's like a right-wing radio talk show host, and another lady that was his sidekick. It skips my right now. His name skips my brain, but he's kind of an older guy. He's like more of a boomer in the right-wing talk radio space, Jewish.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember watching it, and that one was really, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but you can see like the 2-on-2 is still weird. I think Zero Hedge is just doing that to bring more names, more recognition, and bring more eyeballs. But as far as a debate format, I don't really like it that much.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, other than that, there hasn't been a whole lot in the way of the news or anything like that. The only thing that's kind of big that we do have on the horizon still is we have the Ethereum ETF set to launch July 2nd.
Yeah, that seems a lot sooner than what I thought. Previously, I thought it was going to be in September, but July 2nd, that's a heck of a lot faster.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you weren't the only one that thought that. It seemed like that was kind of the market kind of understanding was it looked like it was going to be, I think they said September. So, yeah, the only thing that I think is kind of interesting about that is that I thought for sure with Ethereum's proof of stake mechanism, I thought for sure that if you bought the Ethereum ETF, you would definitely get like stake and get some Ethereum like as a residual revenue kind of thing coming in. But they're not going to allow that.
Yeah.
Not going to allow it.
Well, I was going to say, at that point, you might as well just buy it straight from Coinbase to get some of that stake,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, because until they come up with, I think it was the sharding mechanism where you were going to be able to, you didn't have to have 32 ETH to stake it. You're better off like pooling it with something like that.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about this a little bit. I bought a little bit of Ethereum back in the day and left it on Coinbase, and I was able to, they were staking it for me, I guess, because I ended up with more than I originally bought.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. That's the cool way to do it. It's always nice to find out you're like, oh man, I got some little extra coin in the bag.
Exactly.
Now the question is, how long are you going to hold on to the ETH?
I don't know. To be honest, I mean, between Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'm not really an Ethereum believer.
Yeah. No, it's kind of weird. Like as time has gone on, like I used to like to dabble in some of the altcoins and stuff like that. But as time has gone on, I'm like, man, they're all just distractions. Like Bitcoin is the thing.
Yeah. No, I think both of us, I mean, just unequivocally are Bitcoin maximalists. Yeah. We don't really care about anything else. Everything else is a distraction, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think about that. Like all the money that's been dumped into some of those altcoins and stuff like that, that could have all been in Bitcoin. Like we would probably have a huge market cap right now. But I mean, that's the thing is people get greedy. They want to make money fast, but there's just the use cases don't exist for those. Those are just there for gambling, really through and through.
If you're a trader, you can make a ton of money on that because they jump up really quickly compared to Bitcoin, but they also crash even more drastically than Bitcoin. So
Yeah,
you better time it right.
absolutely. Absolutely. You want to talk about, kind of movements in the market that are super volatile. That's the thing to watch out for. But, I don't know. And I think the other thing that we have that's very interesting is this is going to there's going to be a lot of political sway that's going to happen because of Bitcoin this year. I think in the United States election anyways.
Yeah. You got to think about it. There's a lot of people who are single issue voters, I should say.
Yeah.
Like whether their stance on abortion or some other thing, it's like whoever's side they pick, they align with them on that one issue. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are aligned on crypto and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
This year.
I think so too. And I'm curious, like I keep on hearing rumors that Biden's going to try and put his arms around it as well, but I don't know. It seems like it's against everything that the Dems are trying to accomplish right now. So,
well, and that's the thing. I'm not even sure he's going to be able to run. I mean, he's looking more and more frail by the day.
Yeah. No, he is.
And I thought he was going to be replaced by now, but it hasn't happened. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just saying it looks like things are lining up where Biden is not going to be the Democratic candidate.
Yeah. I mean,
eventually.
We're, 5 months away? A little bit less than that?
Yep. And the conventions are sometime very soon. So,
yeah, I want to say the next month. I think they're both I'm pretty sure they're in July, but I could be wrong. They need to finalize everything. So who knows? But yeah, so what do you think your prediction is for this next week's price action?
I think it's going to be volatile and maybe down, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I thought we were done with the downplay because we started to have that little bit of a rally back up, and now we're kind of back below that. Support level wise, we would have to go way, way down. Like we do have, we're kind of talking about that 62,000, and then a floor below that is like in the $55,000 range. So, I mean, 55,000 is still a possibility because we've been there back in May. So, I don't know. We may have some more room to go down. We may not. I have no clue. I really just have no idea which way it's going to go. I thought by now we'd be way up higher.
I think you're right. 62,000 is the number to watch for. If we go below that, then all bets are off. 55 is maybe right around that corner. So
yeah, that's true. So, newsletter. You've been continuing to put some out. They're really, really good. So I hope everybody gets a chance to sign up for that. And you can sign up for that at www.thebitbytepodcast.com/sign up.
Right. Yep. And I'll be putting those out. And you get the crypto checklist for the cold storage checklist, I should say.
Yep.
So
your self-custody checklist. And then, of course, you can always check the deals page and get yourself a hardware wallet so you can look at starting to do some self-custody.
Right. And if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto.
Absolutely. So thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you again soon.
Alrighty. Bye.